Cafecito con la Mera Wera. One cafecito at a time.
Welcome to the very first episode of Cafecito con la Mera Wera. Now, I will say this because this is our first time filming our podcast. We just did it. Yep. And my phone storage on the phone was the whole stinking thing. So here we are. I was telling my dad earlier that I had gone out to lunch with or to dinner with some of my friends, and they were talking about, oh, I like this podcast and this podcast. And I said, I've never seen a podcast. I don't listen to them. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to edit. Clearly, I don't know about phone storage. But here we are, making our own podcast.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I love podcasts. I watch them all the time.
So this could be a complete dumpster fire, but here we are. We should be smoother this time around since I already deleted the first podcast video that we ever did.
Good.
Oh my gosh. Today is really exciting for me, despite my little faux pas. My dear daddy here with me, Ed Stapleton, criminal defense attorney for almost 51 years now.
Yeah, 50. It was 50 in January.
50 in January. So tell us, what's your favorite thing about being a criminal defense lawyer?
Well, I think it's the most important work a lawyer can do. I went through some periods where I thought there was no area of the law that could be moral except for criminal defense for indigent people. And so, that's not a good thing because it's hard to send children to college and that sort of thing. And that's how everybody was when I decided that to be the case. But no, criminal law is about the most important thing you can do as a lawyer.
And it's fun, and it's exciting, and it's juicy.
It is fun, it is exciting, it's a picture window into human nature. We get to learn all about how people think and act and their motives on things. And so yeah, I love it.
So what's one of the craziest things that you've encountered in your career as a criminal defense attorney?
Well, sometimes it's literally crazy because it's tons and tons of mental illness. And a lot of the people who commit bad crimes or even get accused of bad crimes are mentally ill. And so you get bizarre behavior that is hard to understand.
Have you ever seen or had a client that you just could not gel with or could not get there with? Yeah,
I've had it. I mean, it will happen, and I don't know if it's me or if it's them. But it reminds me when I was a little boy, I was out on my grandfather's farm, and they used to kill coyotes.
Okay.
And cut off their ears and get a bounty for the ear.
Wow.
I think it was $2 an ear.
Weird.
And so they would bring the little coyote pups back sometimes. And some of those puppies, well, I had one for a while, and I thought, well, it's going to be like a dog. But it never did warm up to people at all. It just was not in its nature.
Wild.
Yeah, it's wild. And I think some people have been so damaged and injured when they were young that they just can't get there with other people. So I think that happens sometimes. And you know, I do what I can, and I do what I can to understand them. So if that's the defense, then I can explain it to the jury too.
Yeah.
But some of them, and a lot of what we do involves early childhood memory, and some people have no early childhood memory.
Right.
And then you get the other side, a couple of the guys who I think were severely mentally ill claimed to be able to remember life in the womb.
Oof.
And so, you get the full spectrum.
So speaking of, defenses, we have had a defense, and I want you to describe to them your story about our client with the bite marks.
All right. Well, no, we had a guy who was accused of strangling his wife, and that's a felony. If you cut off the ear, then that's a serious crime, even if it's just in a domestic sport, because people can die from that, or worse, they can become brain damage from it. And so what he told me was, well, I had to grab her throat. He didn't deny it, but he said, I had to do it because she was about to bite off my penis.
Ooh.
And so I said, well, that sounds like a defense. It's a self-defense. And so we got a picture and took it to she was skeptical.
Picture wasn't good enough.
The picture wasn't. She said, well, he could have gotten it off the internet. You can get everything. And so we had to do a show and tell on the bite marks, and it was evidence. And
tell us what you mean by say we had to do a show and tell. What exactly did you have to do?
Well, I said, all right, you don't believe the picture. Do you want to see the penis?
And she said,
yes, she did. And so we bailiffs, we go back in the jury room. I tell him to show her the penis. And she looked at the penis, and she was very sympathetic. She was a mother of boys, and I think she understanding of the problem with having a penis bitten off.
Oh my God!
And so she dismissed the case. She viewed it as self-defense.
Victory at its finest.
It was very nice, and also she then could talk to the young woman and say, well, of course I had to dismiss it. I've seen the penis. And so there you go.
Great. So, that one's pretty shocking. Do you have any others out of your 50 years of experience that pop out as, God, that was shocking?
Well, a lot of the crimes are pretty shocking. One of the cases we went into it because there was a confession, and Exhibit A was a sack full of baby heads. That's pretty shocking.
God. And
then we had one where a young man had shot all of his in-laws, mother-in-law, grandmother-in-law, and in-law at point blank. And so the triple homicides, they tend to be very shocking. And in fact, I'd have death penalty those kind of crimes all start as death penalties, and I'd have death penalty advocates who would want to volunteer, and they're from peace organizations and activists that protested against the death penalty. They would come in and see that evidence, and it would change them into being pro-death penalty immediately.
Yeah, I get it. I grew up in a different situation because, he would have autopsy photos spread throughout the house. So if you think that's weird, it gets weirder, right? Autopsy photos all over the house, and it was murder. Murder from an early age, and so. Thanks, Dad.
Well, you're welcome, my love. I really feel like that you all three got a very nice education, and part of that was we were writing a book with Dr. Courty, a neurosurgeon in Brownsville, and so we had to bring all the pictures in and spread them out on the table every Saturday, and the kids got to see them. But when I was a little boy, my dad would take me in where the cadavers were. He was a medical doctor and doing internships and residencies, and so I got to hang out with the cadavers. I felt like that you guys were being protected by just seeing pictures. So you're welcome.
Yeah. Okay, in all your 50 years, what's one of the most shocking things that you've seen in the courtroom?
Well, I mean, I've seen lawyers become faint, from what they were hearing and
Oh,
seeing.
wow. Like actually fall to the floor?
He didn't get clear to the floor, but it was clear that he was in trouble.
Yeah.
And so that kind of thing happened. I've seen people go crazy and try to attack other people.
Tell them about that client that we had that you were putting on the stand for a direct examination in the middle of a sexual assault trial.
Yeah.
Tell them that.
All right. Well, he had persuaded me that he was innocent, and then I wasn't sure if he was competent. We had him up there testifying, and all of a sudden he changed his story and started taking the blame for everything.
Well, okay. So he's on the stand, and my dad asks him, "Well, you didn't do this heinous crime to this child, did you?" And his response was,
Yes.
"Yes." Well, what you're saying is you really didn't do it, did you?
No, I didn't.
My God.
But as it turned out, he had at that stage become incompetent. And so we got a mistrial, got him off the stand, got him off to psychological treatment. So.
I mean, how do you keep your cool when you're in the courtroom like that and something goes massively wrong?
It's going to happen. Something goes wrong every trial. You don't control any of it. And people are just too complicated, and you don't have enough knowledge to predict the future. And so almost never do you get through a trial where there's not some kind of surprise. No matter how hard you've prepared and everything you've done, there's surprises.
Yeah.
But, what they say, el hombre propone, pero Dios dispone.
Okay.
We may have proposals, but we don't make any of the final decisions on this stuff.
Sure.
And so things turn out like they're, in my opinion, they turn out like they were destined to turn out at the beginning of time.
Okay, well, we have different theories on that.
I'm sure we do. I know we do. And we have to admit the different theories with jurors a lot, because we use a scaled questionnaire for selecting jurors that Sara and I would fall in different places on those questionnaires. But
I'm sure a lot of people that are listening have been on juries. Have you ever been on a jury?
I got put on a jury, but it was a mistake, and the prosecutor, after he got me on there, figured out what he'd done, and he panicked, and he ran to the judge and was able to get me off.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine.
I never got to sit for it. And of course, I don't believe in passing judgment, so on a jury, I really would not be able to.
Not guilty.
But they have to be.
They've got to be.
That's right.
All right.
Well, there are some exceptions.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, a corrupt prosecutor, maybe I could.
You could get there with that. Yeah.
I could get there with that.
What's the biggest mistake that people make when they're arrested?
Well, they talk. Everybody thinks they can talk their way out.
Just tell the truth, right?
Yeah, but you can't talk at all, because your words will be twisted and it'll be misunderstood. Yeah, if you're sorry somebody got hurt and you say, "Oh, I'm sorry they got hurt," they'll take that as a confession.
Right. It's just it's dangerous. It's deadly.
That's right. You just cannot. And so what I tell people is, get arrested. I don't even want them to know what language you speak.
So if someone gets arrested tonight on a Saturday night, what's the first thing they should do?
Just be quiet. You can't, and if they're asked to take any kind of exam test, field sobriety test or something, just say no. You've got to give identification so you don't get into other type of trouble. But you hand them your your driver's license or your identity card or whatever it is, and say, yep, this is me, but I don't wish to speak any further.
Yeah. What is or have you ever had a case that looked hopeless, but you ended up winning?
Yeah, we've had that. Well, you and I tried one that I thought when we went into it was going to be a death penalty case and hopeless because it was a triple homicide.
Right.
But as it turned out, the jury was able to get the full picture and ended up recognizing that as bad as the facts seemed at the beginning, it was self-defense, and he did what he had to do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, that was a crazy one. Have there been certain circumstances that you look back on now and been like, God, I should have done this one differently?
Yeah. I mean, you cannot lose a case without second guessing yourself,
right.
and then trying to figure out, if there was some way you could have done it better. And anybody who tries and tries and tries these cases is going to have losses. Y'all know the song, "You'll say better than say better." All right.
Yeah.
You've got to be, if you're afraid to lose, if you cannot lose, then you cannot be a criminal lawyer. Now, with criminal law, sometimes life in prison is a win.
True.
And so, it makes a difference on that basis. But, the main mistakes I think I've made have been when I got scared to put the client on the stand.
Right.
And those are the ones that I've always regretted the most.
And that's contradictory, isn't it, to how most lawyers do it?
Almost always the conventional wisdom was, never put your client on the stand. But I just think that every time I have failed to put the client on the stand, that it was a mistake.
Right.
And I think the other big mistake is ever going to a judge on punishment.
Yeah.
If you have a choice. With the feds, you don't have a choice. The federal system is flawed in that because it allows judges to do all of the punishment. But there have been times when I thought, well, that judge is a friend of mine and he's open-minded guy and he'll understand this. But it never works out.
Yeah.
And so I've had regrets along that line.
Let me ask you this. I mean, you've been doing criminal defense for many, many years now, but there was a point in time where you were doing more civil litigation. You've got to tell them the story about your Shakespeare moment.
All right. Well, no, I was board certified in personal injury law when I went over to the Federal Public Defender's Office.
Yeah.
And so you have to stay board certified, you have to do a certain percentage. But I was also trying cases before that for a asbestos firm up in Dallas. And they were using me to help run up the damages on cases and part of this was my training with Jerry Spence on empathy with clients.
And for people that don't know, what that means is when you try to run up the damages is to really show how badly the person was injured or hurt. Right?
That's right.
Okay.
So we can get the juror to do that. And this was early on in the technology, but they were able to get a video. I mean, it was before we had that, but they did satellite stuff and everything. Get a video of the guy testifying while he was dying from having an asbestos exposure.
God.
And so it was heart-wrenching. I mean, we sat there and knew that man was about to meet his maker. We knew that. And everybody was moved. Now, the biggest verdict up to that time had been on a single case, had been about $4 million. And we were trying this in Cameron County. And I sat and listened to that thing, and I thought, well, that's not high enough, and we got through. And they'd give me about 5 minutes for final argument because I was just a local guy and they were all the asbestos experts. And I got up at the very end. And right then I had on my mind a Shakespeare speech and I will tell the lawyers here, read Shakespeare, read the Bible, and you can bring all your stories in from Shakespeare and the Bible and all the language. You can't go wrong. If you can get real ambitious, throw in a little Milton, a little Dante. But you cannot go wrong with Shakespeare and the Bible. So I started quoting from The Merchant of Venice, and it's basically the speech that Shylock gives. If you cut me, do I not bleed? And so I was presenting that speech, and I changed it just a little bit to talk about if you poison me, if you poison me, do I not see justice? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I've heard all through this trial that you should give this man $4 million, and I don't think that's half enough. And I would urge that you write into that black $8 million.
God!
And of course, the lawyers who'd hired me, they were dying back there because they thought I'd
gone crazy.
Yeah, but the jury came back and had written in $8 million.
God! I mean, I can't even fathom.
And so the funny thing that came out of that, though, was that court reporter later told me, well, they have ordered your final argument all over the country. So that they used to publish these asbestos.
And tell them how much court reporters can charge for.
Yeah, they can charge, dollars a page for copies even. And so this guy was all excited because he'd sold about 100 copies all over the country. So they got it in, and all they got was what I had stolen from William Shakespeare out of The Merchant of Venice, because none of it was really my language. It was just on my mind, and I had memorized it, and I came up with it. So yeah, that's the sort of thing where it was weird and very satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, God, I just can't imagine the satisfaction for the family. Well, and the court reporter.
Yeah, everybody came out, and so it was fun. But yeah, you'll get that kind of thing. I will say though that the criminal jury arguments are done in exactly the same way.
Yeah.
I
mean, really, what our job is to tell other people's stories. We're storytellers.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right. And so you bring it in, and I think at that stage you use the best language you're capable, and even if you think it's going to be above some jurors, some will reach up and grab it and teach the other ones.
Yeah, I love that.
And so, you do that. I think that when we're doing final argument, we become Balaam's ass. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Of course I don't. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? No.
Well, Balaam had a donkey.
Okay.
And he was driving that donkey, and standing in the road was a huge angel, and this is not one of those nice angels with the wings. This was a scary, vicious looking angel, dangerous angel.
Okay.
So the donkeys.
We're the asses then.
No, we are the donkeys, that's right. Okay. And so we see that thing and we are not going to budge. We will not take a step forward because we know how dangerous that creature in front of us looks like they are. And we sit there and we bray, and somehow we get this power of speech. I didn't make this story up. Y'all look it up, B-A-L-A-A-M. It's in the Bible. And so we bray and bray and bray, and Balaam can beat us and everything, and we don't go forward. But we tell the story of what we see out there.
Right.
Regardless, that's right. And so if our client has a horrible story and we see it, then we tell it even if nobody else can see it. And we do it at the highest and best level we can, because that's our calling, right?
Sure.
And so we are the ass. We are Balaam's ass. And that is how I think we all should give opening or final arguments. Opening statements I talk about at a different time. But for the final arguments, that's what we're looking at.
We're everybody's ass.
We're Balaam's ass. And he has a special donkey who sees things other people can't. And that's what we have to do, because we have to be able to see clients in a light that the society doesn't. They get on the TV and say, that guy is a monster.
Sure.
But we have to look up and see what the dangers are to doing that.
Right.
And if you turn him into a monster, there is nobody in society that cannot be turned into a monster. And that is the danger that's in front of us. And we're having to bray and let people know what's going on with that.
Wow,
I like donkeys.
Well,
I've always liked them better than horses.
yeah.
And the Bible is full of donkeys. You know what Jesus rode into Jerusalem?
A donkey.
He did.
Okay, we're gonna move on. We're gonna do some rapid fire questions. Now,
I'm not very rapid.
no, you're not very rapid. So it's not a story for each question.
All right.
Rapid.
All right.
Okay, best trial lawyer you've ever seen.
Jerry Spence.
Woo! Favorite courtroom movie.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Most overrated legal TV show.
Perry Mason.
Coffee or energy drinks.
Oh, coffee. I don't even know what an energy drink is.
Jury trial or bench trial.
Jury.
Toughest judge you've ever practiced in front of.
Oh, there's that crazy guy with a plate in his head who's dead
Oh
now.
my God. One word to describe criminal defense.
Calling.
A calling. Two. One piece of advice for people being arrested.
Don't talk. Just imagine you can't understand anything but ancient Greek unless they come in on that.
Okay. One piece of advice for young lawyers.
Follow a checklist.
All right. Tell them about the checklist.
All right. Here's the checklist, and this is compared to getting anesthesia. Those docs used to kill a lot of people. They don't anymore because they go through a checklist. And they got that idea from the pilots who did a pre-inspection checklist. And so the pilots quit crashing all the time because they would check and see if they had gas and that sort of thing. Lawyers must use a checklist. We can't.
Most lawyers don't.
Almost nobody does. Now, we've been introduced to it because the American Bar Association requires it for death penalty cases.
Okay. And so you're saying it's okay, we should use this not just for death penalty, but for a DWI or something more minor.
A DWI, a theft, an assault, a drug case, everything needs to have a checklist. Otherwise, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And the young lawyers, and I've taught young lawyers for many, many years, and I've given them a version of this checklist over and over again. We distributed them to all of the public defenders who were doing rural work in the different counties around.
And we give them to our clients.
We do, because that way the clients can look at them and say, hey, lawyer, you haven't done this. You say it's important, but it's not in you haven't done it in your checklist. And unless I've got a good reason to not do it,
right,
I need at least an explanation for why it should be done. But that's what I would say. And unfortunately, the law does not require people to use checklists except in death penalty cases, but it's necessary.
So if you have a criminal case and you want one of these, or if you don't have a criminal case but you're just curious, come call me or just stop by and come pick one up, because I think the general public needs to know if you've got a case, what your case should look like and what your lawyer should be doing.
Yeah, and if you're a lawyer and you've been appointed on a case and you're not familiar with them, come on by and we'll give you one, because I think that a new lawyer who follows this checklist will be better than most old lawyers who have been doing it wrong for their entire careers.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so you've been practicing for almost 51 years now. What is something you wish you would have known 25 years ago that you didn't?
Well, a checklist would have been nice.
Would have been helpful.
But all the way through, every stage of the way I've made changes. I haven't done the numbers on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if I haven't lost 10 times as many cases as any lawyer I know has ever tried.
Yeah.
And so every time you lose a case, you sit down, you do a post-mortem, you try to figure out what went wrong and you fix it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the standard view, like on how to pick a jury, I think everybody does that wrong.
Right.
And so you begin to develop a different way to do it.
Yeah, just think outside the box, and that's why I like practicing with you, because you step outside the box, you do stuff that people think is weird as hell, but you're not afraid to do it, you're not afraid to try it, and that's empowered me, because now I know that I can try weird stuff.
Yeah, no, and you just have to assume that the way things are done, they may well be wrong.
Sure.
And they often are.
Yeah.
And so, you've got to look at other fields in order to figure out, how you want to do it. Lawyers ignore the social scientist studies, but they're critical.
Right.
There had been so much study on death penalty work, we have some idea of how to predict what kind of jurors will and will not give the death penalty.
Yeah.
But nobody reads their reports.
Right.
And then those same kind of studies apply to all sorts of things, and you've got to get into that. But it applies across the board. Checklists come from pilots.
Yeah.
And chess players get a bunch of rules about how to do things. And, one of the really important rules is find a good answer and then think a bit, because you might get a better answer.
Yeah.
And sort of a two-step thing on that. So it comes from all sorts of different areas. How to do an opening statement, I think, comes straight out of literature. If you buy the books and read them about how to write a novel, that's really important on understanding how to give an opening statement.
And for our non-lawyers, what is one piece of advice that you would like to leave them with today?
It's your case, and if you want to go to trial, no matter how much somebody tries to scare you, you insist on going to trial. And it's your case. If you want to testify, that's your right. You've got to be engaged enough that it's your future. Normally we lawyers walk out of the courtroom and go home afterwards, but with you guys, it could be a permanent situation. So, keep in mind that it's your case, and you get to make the final decisions.
And bug your lawyers. We give all of our clients our cell phone numbers. Bug them and be in contact with them, because that's the biggest complaint we hear is, well, my lawyer never called me back, or I don't know what's going on. Just be in contact. I know that the most annoying clients are the ones that that I remember and that I pay attention to right then and there.
Yeah. If your lawyer won't talk to you, then you probably should shop around, you know.
Go elsewhere. Okay, good. That's all we're gonna do for today. So listen, this is our very first episode of Cafecito con la Mera Wera. So give us the raw feedback, right? Tell us what you love, tell us what you hated, tell us what you want to hear for next time, and we aim to please. Thank you guys.